Hey, Everballers. You know, the future is coming. Why not make it brighter with Squarespace? Squarespace makes it easy to turn your idea into a unique website. You can customize everything from look and feel to settings and products, all with beautiful templates created by world-class designers. Best of all, unlike other websites, you don't have to install or patch or upgrade anything ever. Head on out to squarespace.com today for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code SOLID. That's SOLID. And you'll save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrand. Joining me, as always, over there in blustery New York City, my good friend Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
I'm all right, Ty. I'm moving. I'm in the process of moving.
Really?
So, and I know you haven't, if you've never moved from an apartment to an apartment within the greater New York City area, don't ever do that.
No.
Don't. Other than that, Ty, I'm all right. I'm all right. I can't complain. Hanging in there. Had a good turkey sandwich for lunch. Sat in a coffee shop and did some work earlier today. The real New York and Brooklyn experience, Ty. The real thing.
So today's show is going to be a little bit different. We've actually gotten requests to do a show like this in previous years, but we didn't. And now, because the spirit has moved us, you've got some free time. I've got a need to let off some steam here. We're not going to be talking college football today, at least not in the traditional sense. Now, we got a bunch of questions from social media, from our friends over at Reddit, through the email inbox at solidverbal@gmail.com. We're going to try and address as many of those as we can. But for the first time ever, this is sort of a combo show between the Q&A that we've received and I think the topic du jour for many sports fans this week, the college basketball tournament. March Madness is starting up, right?
Yes. So we're doing an NIT show. So Oregon is opening up. It actually might be, we're recording this, Tuesday? I think it might be tonight.
Maybe tonight.
I think they're playing Rider.
Okay.
Ty, can you tell me, have you heard of the university or college named Rider?
It's in New Jersey, yeah.
Is it? I know they're the Mid-Atlantic Conference. There's not, it's like the MAAC.
Yeah, I know.
I've never heard of it.
I know
never
a bunch
heard
of people who have gone to Rider.
Is that true?
It's a very good wrestling school, believe it or not.
Can name one person that went to Rider?
Well, you don't know them. These are friends.
I know. Just tell me who.
My friend John's son went to Rider.
Okay. Did he enjoy his time at Rider?
I think.
Okay. Did he wrestle?
He did not wrestle, no.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, we are not doing an NIT bracket. We're going to do an NCAA bracket, but we also have a bunch of questions for an early March Q&A, early to mid-March Q&A.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's right.
We took people's questions on Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. A lot of good ones came in, so we've sort of narrowed them down to the ones that we most want to answer. But more specifically to the bracket, Ty, how many games in total did you watch this year in the great land of college basketball?
You can't quite quantify it like that, Dan. Here is my process, okay?
Uh-huh.
We overload on college football between late August and early January.
Mm-hmm.
And when early January hits, I usually go pretty dark.
Okay.
Until fantasy baseball season rolls around, then I do a little bit of research because I'm into baseball.
Right. Okay.
But as it relates to college basketball, I've watched about 30 total minutes of college basketball all year.
Wow. I've watched 2.5. I'd say the equivalent of 2.5 games. I watched the second half of Duke, North Carolina, not in the ACC tournament, although I did watch a little bit of that, but I watched the full second half at the end of the season. I watched a couple Oregon games here, like just patches of Oregon games. They tip the Oregon games in the Pac-12 tournament tipped at 11:30 p.m.
That's a very heavy lift.
They're not making it easy, Ty.
No, that's a heavy lift on the East Coast.
Yeah, is not making it super easy. I usually, when in my previous job, I start at the end of February, early March, because I have to do live shows around the bracket, but I don't anymore.
No.
So I'm usually in that Ken Pom world.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, this team plays good defense. This team plays quickly. These are the names of stars. Like I know who ish is going to be taken in the lottery, but I have not seen Miles Bridges play basketball.
Right.
I just haven't. So I arrive more unprepared for this bracket than normal, which makes me think I'm going to do better because we have a bracket, right? We have a challenge.
We do have a bracket, so that's an important side note. If you are listening at home, if you want to get in on the festivities, heaven forbid you should take any of this advice literally,
Right.
and pick according to our suggestions here. But we do have a bracket pool. It will grow to be very large. Go on out to our Facebook page or Twitter. We'll post it on Instagram on our website. We'll post it. I think we can post it as part of the description of this actual show.
Dope.
So get in on it. It's free. It's through ESPN Tournament Challenge. You can enter like 10 times if you so desire. But what we're going to do now.
And we'll get the brackets of Mama H.
Yeah.
Mama
We'll
Rubenstein,
get them all
Papa
in.
Rubenstein. Okay.
We'll get them all in. Yeah, we'll get them all in. You could play against the stars here.
Solid
the
Wife
verbal.
Kate. Yep.
Sure. And we're going to go through now. We're going to pick all these games.
Yes, we are going to do that. Do you have somebody asked this question? If you have a particular upset that you've called through the years that makes you confident that like, ooh, I know what I'm doing here. I know the right 13 seed to pick. Do you have one that you remember?
Well, it doesn't really apply this year,
No, of course not.
but I'll just say generally speaking, when Xavier isn't a number 1 seed, I pick Xavier to go inordinately far in these tournaments.
It's not a bad call. Upset wise, I picked, because obviously we have the Patriot League as a near and dear part of our hearts. I remember picking Lehigh over Duke, which I think they still sell shirts of like the score, like Lehigh, whatever, Duke, whatever.
Yep.
In the Lehigh bookstore, which I've been to that bookstore, Ty. I picked that game, and I specifically, in doing research, saw that they had a player named CJ McCollum.
That's right.
And I said to myself, that sounds like a good player, without having watched any Lehigh basketball ever before or since. I specifically remember saying like, hey, he's averaging a bunch of points. Let's go with Lehigh. Why not? And that makes me think that I know a little bit more than the average Mountain Hawk. Here's my other big point before we get into our bracket picks, which are going to be very bad.
Yeah.
How is, and I know you can subscribe, how is there not like a big splash Coors Light ad on kenpom.com in March?
I have no idea. I'm on.
What are you doing, Ken?
I am on his website. And
Like how is there not like make your picks refreshing
He
with
just-
Coors Light?
he sells a subscription
Right.
that I'm assuming mostly reporters subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
And
It has to be.
it has to be all reporters, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no banner ads on here at all. This reeks of someone who's doing it purely out of love of the game.
And I get that. But in March,
I know.
get paid, Ken.
There you go. New job. Ken
Listen,
Palm's
sports
agent.
media does not last forever, Ken. Make that money. Make that money.
KenPalm.com. All right. So I have KenPalm.com up on my screen. There are a couple things that I am going to use to guide me here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A couple formulas at play because really I've done no research and I haven't watched the games. The first thing is that I've read previously that teams that perform well on the KenPalm.com defensive efficiency metric generally do better in the tournament. So
Makes sense.
speaks to the adage of defense winning championships. That applies here. I've got that in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
The other is that I read via Twitter, and I was trying to find it, I couldn't, that the team that wins the second installment of Duke versus North Carolina usually does really well in the tournament. And they've won 5 national championships in the span of like, I don't know, maybe 14 years, however long it's been since Roy Williams got to UNC.
Side note, real quick, this is a college football podcast.
That is correct.
Let's continue.
And the team that loses that second installment is like 500 over the same period of time. So,
And who won the last installment? It was Duke, right?
Duke won the last one. Won the last one. So they're going to be
Regular season, yeah.
probably my national championship pick.
Cool.
All right. And then the other thing that I'll throw in here is the late great Marianne Colarusso, my grandmother, for whom my annual college basketball pool is named. Not ours, but the secret on the sly money one that I do.
double chest Sammy Sosa pound kiss to the sky.
That's right. Grammy had her own little formula. She watched basketball every night religiously, and her formula was this. First off, Duke. Duke was her team. She picked Duke all the time. Duke was always her national champion. But after Duke, she would veer very strongly towards coaches with Italian last names.
Okay.
And then coaches from Catholic institutions.
Oh, okay.
Now, it sounds funny, but Grammy won the pool numerous years. And it's not a bad formula when you actually see it in practice. Like, obviously, Coach Krzyzewski is pretty successful. You pick Duke, you're going to come out on top.
Super Italian.
More often than not. Right. But think of some of the Italian last names. Calipari, Patino until recently, Izzo. Guys who have historically done very well in the tournament seem to have Italian last names.
If only Grandma H knew that not only was Rick Pitino's last name of Italian origin, but also what he was able to do in an Italian restaurant.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
And he did win a national championship. Yeah.
So you got the Italian last names, you got the Catholic institutions, which normally would speak to Notre Dame, but speaks now to Villanova.
Xavier.
Well. Xavier, right. So just throwing that out there, that is what I'm going to use as my basic framework for making some of these selections.
Okay. I think Mama H is places she picks against Catholic institutions and 4 places where she knows people that went to school there or is confused about who went to school
Mama
there.
Rubenstein, you're saying?
Mama Rubenstein, not Mama H. And so I do like the dichotomy of the sort of opposite theories at work.
Yeah.
Here.
All right. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to pick our own, or do we want to pick one like unified bracket between the two of us that we can enter?
No, let's just go through. Just tell me. Let's start with the South region, Ty. So it appears that's Virginia, who I think I just saw lost a key player due to injury. Virginia and Cincinnati, which who knew Cincinnati was good this year. Do you have any? Let's just go and tell me if you have any upsets in the first round.
I'm looking at this. I don't think so. I think I go UVA. I think I go Creighton over K-State, which I didn't know until recently that Creighton's in Nebraska, by the way. That's on me.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's in Omaha.
Kentucky over Davidson. Steph Curry no longer there. Kentucky actually has been playing pretty well. So throw Kentucky through. What's the deal with Arizona? There's apparently a giant scandal with their coach being picked up on an FBI sting operation. Is that accurate?
Something like that. Yeah, he was supposedly, there was a wiretap of him discussing $100,000 for DeAndre Ayton, who might be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA. Okay. But then there was a question about, was it in 2016 or 2017? And if it was in 2017, it was reported that it was 2017, but he would have already been enrolled. So it doesn't fully add up. And there was ESPN had some weird denial or retraction and then unretraction.
Okay, but did he get caught on the sting or not?
I mean, it's reported, but nothing has happened to him. He's still there.
I feel like I got to pick Arizona to go pretty far then, just to have a villain to root against.
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, it's a hero.
Right. Well, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that sort of bravado element. I'm with it.
I picked Miami over Loyola Chicago. Is there any kind of ill will here with you picking Miami, given the fact that your lovely wife is from the great city of Chicago?
No, Loyola, I think, is a private school and she has no connection to it. So that's fine.
Tennessee over Wright State, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to go Texas over Nevada because I always go Texas.
I'm going to go Texas as well. Shouts to Andy Wall.
Texas, according to Ken Palm, is number 10 in adjusted defense.
Great. And Shaka has good tournament resumes, right?
Absolutely.
That feels right.
All right.
So yeah, I'm going to go Texas as an upset, and I'm going to go Davidson as an upset.
You're going to go Davidson.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go we're both going to go Cincinnati in the end. So I'm filling this out as we go through.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to the next round, which is UVA against Creighton. I guess UVA. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go with Virginia there.
You've got Arizona, Davidson. I've got Arizona, Kentucky. You got to go Arizona, given what we now know about Sean Miller.
Yeah, I'm going Arizona coming out of this bracket.
All right.
Out of this region.
Miami against Tennessee. Here's my other Achilles heel when it comes to these bracket pools.
Mm-hmm.
I always pick the number 6 seed to go very far.
Why?
I don't know. I was hung up on Mississippi State a number of years ago when they were a 6 seed. I was all in on Mississippi State. All the research.
How'd they do?
I think they lost in the first or second round.
Okay.
But I'm going to go Miami here over Tennessee.
Okay.
And then I think we'll go Texas over Cincinnati.
I'm going to go Texas over Cincinnati as well. I think Texas is bad at basketball, but I don't know anything about either team. And Texas has the clear better tacos.
Let's go UVA over Miami for the Final Four coming out of the South.
Okay. I'm going to go Arizona over, I guess, Tennessee. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Why not?
Moving on. Let's go to the West bracket, Dan.
Okay. The West bracket. So we have Xavier as a 1 seed, North Carolina and Lipscomb.
Okay.
15 seed in that bottom half. Houston, San Diego State, very good food matchup. I think I'm gonna go through this and just select where I'd want to eat.
Where you'd want to eat?
Where I'd most want to eat. And so Xavier's in Ohio. There's a playing game, but I'm going to take Xavier there. Missouri, Florida State. So Columbia or Tallahassee. I'm going to go Columbia. Columbus, South Dakota State. I'm going to go Columbus. Spokane over Greensboro. Is that where UNC Greensboro or Greenville? What is it?
It's a G here on the bracket. I don't know which one.
UNC Greensboro. It is Greensboro.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with, Greensboro there. Houston, San Diego State. I'm going Houston, Ann Arbor, or Montana. I'm going to go Ann Arbor. College Station or Providence. Do you like clams?
I do.
I think I'm still going to go with College Station there. Lipscomb is in, I want to say, is it in Nashville? I'm going to go with Nashville. So I'm going North Carolina losing in the first round to Lipscomb.
To Lipscomb?
This is true.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Right.
I'm going to go College Station over Lipscomb. Or Nashville. I'm going to go Houston over Ann Arbor. So I think Houston has a star player that's very good and maybe the son of somebody famous. Greensboro is going to lose to Columbus. I did eat kind of well in Columbus. And I'm going to let's go Missouri over Xavier in the second round. I can't spend that much time in Ohio eating, Ty.
Okay.
And then we'll have Columbus. They've got a junior who's very good. We'll go Columbus over Missouri. We'll go, College Station against Houston. I'm going Houston again. Houston's an amazing eating town. And so I think I'm going to have Houston out of the West.
Wow.
Into the Final Four.
That's ballsy.
Yeah.
According
you know what, Ty? I'm going with what I know.
Yeah, according to Ken Palm.
How's Houston's defense?
18th overall in adjusted defense.
Come on, Ty.
And hold on, 31st in adjusted offense.
Have you spent any time in Houston?
A little bit here and there.
It's such a good city. I love it. So just eating wise and people wise, it's a pain in the ass getting around. It's so fun.
It's okay.
I loved it.
It's very easy.
Vietnamese food,
very
good
easy
Mexican.
to get picked off by the light rail.
Picked off?
You could get picked off by that light rail. Yeah.
Like you got hit?
I didn't get hit, but I'm saying I could see people getting hit.
That went dark, Ty.
I know. Well,
who do you have coming out of the West?
Xavier and Florida State, Ohio State and Gonzaga, Houston and Michigan, A&M and UNC, all chalk.
Okay.
Then I've got Ohio State over Xavier.
Big Ohio matchup.
And I've got Michigan over UNC, which sets up a great matchup in the Elite Eight between Michigan and Ohio State.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm going to go Michigan.
Love it.
I'm going to go Michigan. So my final two thus far are UVA and Michigan, two great American institutions.
Do you know where Radford University is?
Virginia.
It is. I'm trying to see it looks like it's not terribly far from, I guess, is it Lynchburg?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like Christiansburg, Pulaski, Princeton. Wow, it's out there. Okay.
So here's what happens, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
We got to read some messages here. Did you know
what do we have?
That Casper is a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize their line of products to create an exceptionally comfortable sleep experience one night at a time. I've got it.
Okay.
You've got it. We love it. They've now got 3 mattress models, Dan. They've got the original Casper, they've got the Wave, and the Essential. They make all of these to be perfectly designed to both soothe and cradle your natural geometry.
Boy, is my geometry natural.
They've got a breathable design that helps you sleep cool. It regulates your body temperature all throughout the night. And they deliver it right to your door in a small, how did they do that, sized box with free shipping and returns in the United States and Canada. The best part is you can be sure of your purchase because Casper gives you 100 nights risk-free. So you can sleep on it, try it out, really see how it suits your lifestyle. And if you don't like it, you can send it back free of charge. You spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, Dan. At a minimum, you should be comfortable. I will ad-lib it here for a moment and just say that we love ours here. I've told the story before. I was having back and shoulder problems on the old mattress. Got the Casper. Those went away in a matter of like 2 weeks. It's really been a pretty cool experience. From getting it to setting it up to obviously sleeping comfortably on it and not feeling that residual pain of a bad mattress. I'm very grateful to have gotten my Casper mattress.
Even the name Casper Wave sounds comfortable.
Right now, you can get $50 towards select mattresses by visiting Casper.com.
Hell yeah.
/verbal. Use verbal at checkout. That's Casper.com/verbal. Your offer code is verbal, VERBAL. $50 off your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. Also, support for today's show comes from our good friends over at Squarespace. Whether you're ready to start a new business or showcase something cool, make it stand out with Squarespace. They've got beautiful templates created by world-class designers. They make it easy to turn your idea into a new and unique website. Again, whatever work you're trying to showcase, whether it's selling products and services, whether it's a blog or some other kind of published works, you can do it all with just a few clicks. Customize everything from the look to the feel. Everything's optimized for mobile. They've got analytics to help you grow so you can see how you're doing. And the best part, I think, as someone who's a little bit plugged into the IT world, Dan, don't gotta worry about installing or patching or upgrading anything ever. They just do it for you.
I love that.
Customer support 24/7. It's a good deal.
Ty, I am in the midst of editing my new hosting reel.
Yeah.
From the work I've done these past few years. Guess who owns DanRubenstein.com?
Yep.
A shadowy Russian company. But guess who owns DanRubenstein.net? No, I'm just kidding. I own DanRubenstein.com, and that's where it's going to be going. And I'm going to be using Squarespace to put that sleek-looking reel up in front of the world. How about that?
Sounds like a plan. Head on out to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code SOLID. You'll save 10% off your very first purchase of a website or domain. One more time, squarespace.com. Your offer code is SOLID. Daniel.
Yo.
Before we get back to the East bracket.
And I'm so glad I've determined that I'm just going through this with where I'd rather eat.
Before we get back to the East bracket, let's answer some questions. Pick some out.
Oh, let's do it.
Pick some out for us.
We are a college football show, technically speaking.
Yes.
Let's start here. I thought this question was really easy. It was about Missouri football, but I think it applies to everybody, right?
Okay.
Do you know what question I'm talking about?
I'm looking for it.
This comes to us from Mike. Mike Solakian? You guys often don't talk about mid or lower level Power 5 teams, and rightfully so, like Mizzou, his favorite team, without necessarily going into too much detail about every single one of these teams on that level. Can you tell us, suffering fans, what it would take for our programs to have some consistency in our conference? Mizzou made it to 2 SEC titles in its first 3 years in the league, but no Mizzou fan thinks at all that we will be title contenders. What can Mizzou fans or fans of similar programs across the country look for / hope for moving forward? And obviously, every conference has a Missouri, and I mean that neither in a good or bad way, but a team that has seen some success, but has found it difficult to sustain.
Right.
So what is there a formula to you Missouri has some advantages of playing in a huge conference, of having, I think, really good modern history in terms of success and developing high level and well-known players along, especially defensive line, but wide receiver as well. Defense as a whole has been excellent some of these past few years, but, with the coaching change, with the conference change, with some pretty major struggles on offense before last season, they've fallen upon not hard times, but inconsistent times.
I think the big thing that we see, especially in this tier of teams, if you want to call it that, is inconsistency. There's a consistency that does not exist on both sides of the football that often prevents these teams from having a reliable 8-4 record, let's say. Right. It's one of those two sides of the coin that brings them down. So I think first and foremost, you want to just be consistent as you can on both sides of the football and just get to a point where it's like before the year even starts, we feel pretty confident about 8-4.
Sure. And certainly with the SEC having high level bowl success in terms of getting to the playoff, having really good bowl tie-ins, you win 8-9 games a year, as Missouri will probably top out at as it stands now with how much teams in the SEC have been investing and succeeding on the recruiting trail and beyond. Georgia now in Florida, Tennessee having new coaches, Arkansas with a new coach, Texas A&M with a new coach. So there's uncertainty there, which I think adds to Missouri. What it to me comes down to is they had Gary Pinkel for, I want to say, 15 years. He started in 2001. So there was an element of that was home for him. He had an incredible eye for assistant coaches. He had an ability to surround himself with assistant coaches who were blue chip, I would say, evaluators and developers. That may have been highlighted by Craig Kulangowski, the defensive line coach, who I think is now back at Alabama in the SEC after a couple of years at Miami. And early on, I think, is where these types of programs like Missouri, and you can go across different conferences. I don't know, who do you think is the Missouri of the Pac-12? Is it like Washington State, Arizona State? I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say like ASU, Arizona.
Right. Maybe Texas Tech in the Big 12.
Right.
The Big 10, I would say, who's like the second and a half or the second tier in the Big 10.
Northwestern.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Northwestern has succeeded, and Missouri went to 2 SEC championship games. To me, it is, can you find coaches who are blue chip evaluators and guys who are not going to waste their time trying to compete for 5 and even 4-star guys, but, finding, given proximity to Texas and the South, 3 stars with a ton of potential that are physically there, but are still a little bit raw, and targeting those guys early and succeeding. And I think Missouri can do that year in and year out. They should be an 8-win program every year in the SEC East, given the changes in the division, given the recent modern successes and the number of players they've put in the NFL. I think that's fair to say that Missouri should win 8 games a year. They have a good quarterback who put up huge numbers last year. They should be able to evaluate those guys moving forward, being so close to Texas and that general region, the Plains, whatever. It's a tough region for local talent, but the good news, Ty, in terms of consistency, and it comes back to coaching for me, is Barry Odom is Mr. Mizzou.
Oh, yeah.
Went to the school.
He is all in on Missouri football.
Yes. So it seems like, it's stupid to call anybody a lifer, especially coming off of the first half of the 2017 season when everybody wanted him gone before things sort of turned around with, granted, a somewhat advantageous back half of that schedule, but they still won those games. They still put up a ton of points. So we got another email about, say, Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell does not seem long for Ames, Iowa.
No.
And that's a credit to both the players and coaches, whatever, and, of course, the job he's done. Whereas Barry Odom is in a unique situation where it seems like if Missouri will have him, he would love to be there for a long time.
Randy Edsall dream job is what we're talking about here.
This is what we're saying. I mean, he's coaching in the SEC. He's coaching on the biggest stage at his alma mater in a place where it seems, some guys don't like coming back to their alma mater, but he's almost exclusively coached there during his college coaching career. So they're in a pretty good place if they're able to keep hiring well and keep evaluating high 3 stars.
There is a very small subset of our listener base that is going to single out the last 5 minutes of Dan Rubenstein audio and just play it on loop. That's a lot of
That's fine.
Missouri football being injected into your ears right there.
That's fine. I appreciate Missouri football. I've enjoyed watching Missouri football, and I hope that they succeed. I enjoyed my time in Columbia, Missouri. So those are my general thoughts. That applies to a number of schools. It's smart evaluation, it's smart recruiting, and it's figuring out some way to hire a head coach who, I say this as a still kind of hurt Oregon fan, does not view your job as a stepping stone situation, which unfortunately, with how volatile coaching is, you have to understand on a certain human level when somebody has the opportunity to make generational money that they just have to do it because
Right.
they're going to be fired in 2 years if they're disappointing at all.
All right. Next question. Buck Hogan asks, I don't know if this is a real name.
Okay.
That's a fantastic
I hope it is.
name, sir. Mr. Hogan. Excuse me. If it is indeed your real name, God bless you. He says, if teams had to have their mascot play a position, what would the best fits be? I thought a ridiculous amount about this question.
Did you? Okay.
And the one thing I kept coming back to was that the Michigan State Spartan would absolutely be a linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's
Absolutely.
got the build, I think has the toughness,
has a screw loose.
definitely has a screw loose.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Spartan is probably like an outside linebacker, middle linebacker, somewhere in that second tier of the defense.
I'll tell you this much, though, Ty. Joe Moorhead would absolutely target Sparty in a wheel route situation. I do not trust Sparty in coverage. That's me. And maybe it's from watching enough of like the Bullock brothers or whatever. I would target Sparty like hell in the open field.
Is there a position on the field for the Oregon Duck?
Yeah, the Oregon Duck is sort of an H-back where you would underestimate the Duck's speed. Some people call them puddles or her puddles, whatever. I just sort of see the Duck as a versatile athlete who you see bigger personalities these days at tight end, right? Gronk,
sure.
Travis Kelce. I see that type of personality that the Duck is willing to go up. You know, there's a showmanship aspect to the Duck, throwing Tostitos into the mouth. I'm going to go with a tight end H-back situation. Versatile, willing to be a character.
I thought a lot about the Stanford tree.
Mm-hmm.
And
Red zone threat.
yeah, I mean, red zone threat, statue, immobile quarterback, another option. Someone who plays on special teams, maybe just to solely block a kick or get in the way. But then there is that component of also having a screw loose that I think
Sure.
makes a red zone. I was thinking along the same lines of a red zone threat potentially is a better option there.
Right. Yeah. I think a specialty player. You're not trusting the tree as a 3-down player.
The Penn State Nittany Lion is Maniac. And I see the Nittany Lion as some sort of free safety type position,
Okay.
somewhere he can just lurk and pounce, no pun intended.
I'll stay in the Big Ten, and I'm going to put the Wolverine and the Badger because they're actually, I mean, they have like there's obviously Bucky, but in terms like the actual animal itself, you're talking about a honey badger type situation where it's a little different from a standard badger, but screw loose, maybe like we keep saying screw loose, but you're nickelback on defense or a gadget type player on offense where you don't want to assign too much to this player because they're untrustworthy and a little bit wild. But end arounds, options, I think you're talking about heavy hitters right here. So I'd go with that.
Would an actual alligator have been on the 4 deep for the Florida Gators roster at quarterback this previous year?
Has the arms.
That hurts.
I would go, man, I don't know. I'm looking, there's so many small animals.
Let's move on to a different question.
Next question, Ty. That was a fun little
nugget.
exit. Is Oklahoma going to win a championship in John Christopher McDaniel's lifetime? Still reeling that Baker Mayfield couldn't pull it off.
Yeah,
I'm going to say yes, Ty.
I think so.
I'm going to 100% say yes. They are a program in a Power 5 conference that is the program that everybody else has to go through. Yes?
Agreed. And the other thing I'd add is that since they are already one of the elite college football institutions, Lincoln Riley being there, unless something goes terribly wrong, there aren't a whole lot of rungs above him in the college game. Now, I could see him, because he's so young, being someone that the NFL talks to at some point. And I think that's the real threat with Lincoln Riley. But beyond that, I think he's going to be there for quite some time before that eventually happens, and should have coaching continuity. It's never really a problem to get talent to go to Oklahoma, especially the way they keep winning. Mm-hmm. So the odds are more in your favor than a lot of other schools, for sure.
Yeah, I would say Oklahoma will. They've been to the playoff, twice?
Twice, yeah.
Already in the young playoff lifespan. And Oklahoma also has the infrastructure in terms of budget and what they've poured into the program. They've got a great stadium atmosphere. They're going to keep recruiting quarterbacks because of quarterback tradition. And if you've paid attention to draft stuff at all, there is at least something right now. And this speaks to what you said about the appetite for more creative offenses, perhaps influenced by what college offenses have looked like recently, and what Sean McVay asked Baker Mayfield to explain. If you read, I think it was Robert Klemko. It was the MMQB wrote a thing about Baker Mayfield and the draft process, and with what Philly obviously succeeded doing and Kansas City succeeded doing, that there is this appetite for creative offensive minds. And at the college level right now, with their current team, I'm not sure that there is somebody more well regarded in that way than how people feel about Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. So you have that combination. Oklahoma, I would say within the next, 6, 8, 10 years, they should win if he's there. Absolutely.
All right. Let's do
next question.
One more question, and then we're going to get to some additional picks here. I like this question, Dan. This one comes to us from our friend Dylan. He says, I spent my morning running around New York looking for a quiet place with good reception for a phone interview. If your home residence has poor reception, what is the best location for a phone interview, Dan?
Well, first of all,
very timely question here.
That's true. First of all, why can't you use Wi-Fi calling?
I don't know.
Do you have Wi-Fi calling on your phone?
I have Wi-Fi calling on my phone, but hypothetically, let's say the Wi-Fi is broken. You got no reception.
Hypothetically,
you're living in like a steel trap. You can't get anything in or out. You got to go out on the town and find somewhere to do a phone interview. Where are you going first?
Probably a park. There's enough tree cover, and there are enough parks in New York during the day that you're not going to be right on top of traffic. You can probably find a nook. You can probably find a bench. And there is something about living in New York where people just understand there are so many people, it's going to get a little bit noisy. And as long as you have, you carve out a tree, a nook, or whatever for yourself within said park, and the weather's not terrible, I think you're fine. I think I would go to a park, but I would investigate Wi-Fi calling.
The only risk is sirens in the city.
That's true.
You got the
Bus
sirens
honking,
going.
Yeah,
and it's not so much that the people on the other end are going to dock you at all for that, but I could see if you're the interviewee potentially being knocked a bit off your game. A loud, sudden sound could potentially derail you a little bit. Yeah, the coffee shop comes to mind. However, only if you can get like the back booth at a Starbucks. If you can get away from wherever people are coming and going, that's your best bet if you choose to go to a place like that.
My other suggestion would be, Ty, are you familiar with WeWork?
Yeah.
So at some WeWork locations, if you can sort of identify where they are within New York and whatever cities, but he's in New York specifically, you walk in and there is a lobby of sorts. And in that lobby or in that sort of gathering area, there's some tables and coffee machines, whatever. You have to use a card pass to sort of scan yourself into the general area. But within that lobby, there are some phone rooms. There are some little booths there. So if you know somebody who works out of a WeWork, and I imagine if you're in New York and emailing a podcast, there's a very good chance.
There's a pretty good chance, yeah,
that you have a connection to somebody that works at a sort of micro startup that might be renting space at a WeWork, and they can let you in, or you just sort of figure out where WeWork is and you just go. And if you can get in, that would be my tip.
Here's a sneaky answer, and then I promise we're going to pick some games.
Yeah.
Find a department store.
That's not bad.
Find a department store and walk around like the men's clothing section. You're not going to get an echo. For the most part, it's a quiet setting.
In the middle of the day, not a lot of people there.
Middle of the day, not a lot of people there. I think you can get away with it.
I don't think sound will travel that well because and that's a good thing because the clothes will
It'll
absorb
deaden
the
it. It's
sound.
the same reason we tell people to record a podcast in like a walk-in closet.
Sure.
Deadens the sound, no echo, probably not much commotion. I think that's a sleeper.
That's a good idea, Ty. Look at you coming through.
Thank you.
I advocate for trespassing, which I guess you sort of do.
Right.
So you might have to buy a tie or something.
Buy a soft drink. Okay.
Yeah, you know what you do? Hold a tie in your hand. As if you are, I'm definitely buying this tie. I'm just walking around making this call, and then I'm going to buy the tie.
There you go.
So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to
I think we nailed
East.
that, Ty.
Thank you. The East region. Your number one seed in the East is Villanova. Your number two is Purdue. You got Texas Tech, Wichita State, West Virginia, Florida, also in the same bracket. Okay, I got problems in this one.
So there's a play-in game against Villanova. LIU Brooklyn, which is not far from me.
And Radford, excuse me.
Yeah. Radnor, I think, was on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. Radnor's down by Philly.
Yeah. God, would I rather eat in Brooklyn or Philly? It's the uncertainty. I'm going to go with Philly and Villanova.
Okay.
I assume you're going there as well.
Gotta go. Yeah, gotta go Nova. Virginia Tech against Alabama, a classic college football matchup here.
This is true. I think they opened the season in like a Chick-fil-A kickoff game.
That's right.
A little bit ago. Would I rather eat in Blacksburg or Tuscaloosa? I'm going to go with T-Town.
I think Virginia Tech gets revenge here.
Really?
I'm going to go Tech, yeah.
Buzz Williams and Tech. Alabama has a star in Colin Sexton. He almost single-handedly won a 3-on-5 game. Remember that game?
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go with Colin Sexton and Tuscaloosa eats.
West Virginia against Murray State.
Ooh, Tudor's Biscuits. Give me the Mountaineers.
West Virginia plays tenacious defense.
They do.
I'm going to go West Virginia. Wichita State against Marshall.
I've heard underrated things about Wichita as a city, which makes me think that there's some good eating. I'm going Wichita.
Now, you could set up the all-West Virginia matchup between the Mountaineers and the Thundering Herd here if you went 13 over a 4. I'm a sucker for Wichita. I'm going number 4. Wichita.
Okay. Go
Here is where I have the problems, okay? We've got the number 6 seed, Florida, which I already said previously. I love the number 6 seed all the time. And then there's a play-in game. For some odd reason, I read an article many moons ago that was trumpeting St. Bonaventure.
I think Nicole Auerbach, our pal, loves the Bonnies of St. Bonaventure. Excuse me.
I love the 6 seed, and I love St. Bonaventure, Dan. So now I guess I will get a chance to see which way this one's going to go, or I can get a better idea of which way this thing's going to go after the actual playing game. But if we assume St. Bonaventure, that puts me in a bit of a bind having to pick between the two of them, Florida against St. Bonnie.
So where are you going to go? Really dig deep into your college basketball.
I'm going to go St. Bonaventure.
Here. Okay.
I'm going to go St. Bonaventure. Yeah.
I'm going to go UCLA over Florida. I'd much rather eat in Westwood. I'd much rather eat at Didi Reese or D'Amore's. Yeah, give me the Bruins here over Florida and over St. Bonnie's.
Is it UCLA?
Yeah, UCLA is playing St. Bonaventure.
Oh, crap. I'm still going to go St. Bonaventure.
That's fine. Go with your heart.
A classic showdown between Texas Tech and Stephen F. Austin. Wasn't Stephen F. Austin a team that 2 years ago had all seniors and they were very good? They had one loss.
Yeah, they had Brad Underwood, I want to say, and now he's at Illinois. They had a super good coach.
Okay.
So they won a game. I think they upset somebody in the first round that year.
And actually, unlike Texas Tech on the football field, this Texas Tech plays pretty good defense. They're number 3 in the nation, according to Ken Pom. So I guess I got to go Texas Tech here because of defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tech here as well.
Arkansas against Butler. I got to go Butler. Butler's just got the pedigree in the tournament.
I think they just lost their coach to somebody recently, which worries me a little bit, but I'm going to go Butler as well.
Purdue against Cal State Fullerton. Are they still the Dirtbags, Cal State Fullerton?
I think that's a nickname for their baseball team.
Okay.
I think they have an official, I think they're the Titans.
Okay.
I want to say. Actually, I don't think is it Fullerton that's the Dirtbags, or is it Long Beach State?
Yeah,
it's
Long Beach State. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
I'm going to go Fullerton's not bad. Purdue eating is not great. I've been to the Purdue campus in West Lafayette. I'm still going to go with Purdue though. I'm going to go Boilermakers. Brother went to Purdue.
Villanova against Virginia Tech. I'm going Nova.
Yeah, I'm going Nova as well.
West Virginia against Wichita.
Have you eaten in Philly a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've eaten in Philly plenty of times.
I feel like I want to eat with you in Philly and go to all sorts of places. South Philly barbacoa.
Yeah.
Looks great. I'm going to go Villanova over Alabama here.
Does Wichita still have Greg Marshall?
They do.
I'm going to go Wichita.
Yeah, and he turned down, or there was some complication with Alabama, I want to say a few years ago.
Texas Tech against St. Bonnie. I'm going to go St. Bonnie.
I'm going UCLA over Texas Tech. Still would rather eat in Westwood.
Butler against Purdue. I'm going Purdue.
Yeah, I'm going to go Purdue. Is Matt Painter still there?
I think so, yeah.
I think Matt Painter is still there. So yeah, I'm going Purdue.
I go Villanova over Wichita in my bracket.
I feel as if Villanova always loses, other than the one time they didn't always lose. So I'm going Wichita here.
All right. And then I'm going to go Purdue over St. Bonnie. The run ends in the Sweet 16.
I'm going Purdue over Wichita.
And I am going to go Purdue over Villanova.
Okay.
Into the Final Four. Which brings us
to the Midwest.
Brings us to our final bracket here. We've got Kansas against the number 16 seed Penn, another Philly school with a good eating situation, Dan.
Ty, give me the Quakers.
Whoa!
Give me the Quakers.
Sooner or later, it's going to happen, right?
I like Philly. We talk about Ivy League football within the context of Patriot League football. Kansas is untrustworthy in this tournament. Year over year over year.
Agreed.
Give me the Quakers.
That's a bold play, Dan.
Love them. Come on, Ty.
Penn is 73rd in the nation in defense and 205th in the nation in adjusted offense.
All it takes is one day, Ty. All it takes is one day.
Does it matter to you at all that they lost to Villanova by 28, to Temple by 9, and Toledo by 13?
So there's something smart about Penn to me that says they're not showing all of their cards during the regular season, Ty.
Okay.
There's a hidden element to to Quaker ball.
All right.
That they're not showing to the Temples, to the Villanovas of the world.
Have you ever gone to the first round of the NCAA tournament anywhere?
I have, and it was incredible / exhausting. I went in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, it is a long day. It's an exhausting day, but I believe back in 2006, that was the year that George Mason went to the Final Four and caused a bit of a ruckus with Jim Larrañaga. Some friends and I were down at the arena in Philly to watch first round games. And at the time, it was, I want to say Albany or Monmouth, one of those schools against UConn. And UConn was universally number one seed. They were incredible. But whoever they were playing, I think it was Albany, they were hanging around. And we had no intention of going to that game. We actually were at the bar watching on TV. We saw that it was close after halftime. We quick hopped in the subway to get back to the stadium.
Nice.
And it ended up being a relatively close game by 1 versus 16 standards, but ultimately UConn did win that game. So I'll say this, I hope you're right, because when a 16 is on the verge, or at least challenging a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, the atmosphere in the room is incredible. It is incredible.
I believe it.
Truly
incredible. Have you been to the Palestra?
I've been to the Palestra, yeah.
I never have. I would love to.
Awesome setting for a game. Awesome setting for a game. So yeah, I'm rooting for Penn, but I got to go with Kansas here.
I also make my picks based on which teams most sound like Office Supplies.
Okay, there you go.
And so you have to go Penn. You have to go Penn in that situation. I also would rather eat in Philly than Lawrence, Kansas. Seton Hall, NC State.
I'm going NC State.
But I either eat in Raleigh or New Jersey. Seton Hall's in a very specific part of New Jersey. But I'm going to go with Seton Hall.
Right.
Egg rolls have to be better.
I'm going to go Clemson over New Mexico State.
Yeah, I'm going to go Clemson as well.
I'm going to go Auburn over Charleston. I know you love Charleston.
Oh, love Charleston. Bruce Pearl, Auburn, been real good this year. I've walked through the very small campus of the College of Charleston. I'm gonna go Charleston here, Ty. I ate super duper well.
All right. TCU versus the winner of Arizona State and Syracuse. I am picking whoever wins that playing game over TCU.
I'm going with TCU. I think I'm gonna try. Jamie Dixon's there, right?
Yep.
And one of those situations where, hey, Pitt was always pretty good with Jamie Dixon. And I learned this last week, Ty, and it is so funny to me. Somehow Pitt went 0-18 in the ACC.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad.
How do you do that?
Very bad, yeah.
Oh my God. It was so funny. I apologize, secretly decent Pitt fans. You deserve so much better. But I'd rather eat in Fort Worth, and I'd also... I just respect Jamie Dixon as a coach. The job he's done there seems good. So
here we go,
TCU.
Dan. Here we go. Michigan State against Bucknell. Gotta go Nellies, don't you?
There's a lot of people. Shout out Lewisburg. There's a lot of people who look at Michigan State in a bracket and they think to themselves, Tom Izzo and March. That's just how I'm going to roll. But those people underestimate something very specific. And that is that big, wobbling, sweaty, pulsating, penetrating.
There it is.
I'm going Bucknell, baby.
Wow.
Give me the Bison.
A special off-season edition of the Drum and Fife.
I can't say that I'd rather eat in Lewisburg than East Lansing, but I haven't eaten in either place. And I don't know anything about Lewisburg or East Lansing food. So that's sort of a wash for me. And I'm just going with the big stanky Drum and Fife.
Rhode Island against Oklahoma, a 7 versus a 10 match. By the way, I'm going Michigan State. You know my stance on Bucknell.
That's true.
Now, I haven't watched a whole lot of college basketball this year, Dan. I did read a little bit on it, just a little bit here and there in passing. And is it true what the internet tells me that ESPN killed Trae Young?
Supposedly. I like watching him still.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And by that, I mean YouTube videos.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Oklahoma here.
Yeah, I think Rhode Island is coached by a Hurley.
Yeah.
Not Bobby, but like a Dan or Danny Hurley. I have not eaten in Norman. I have eaten in Rhode Island at a couple of very good clam shacks. So I'm going to go Rhode Island here.
And then that brings us to the final game of the first round, Duke against Iona. I already said, I tipped my hand that I'm going to go Duke to win it all.
Right.
So I'm going to go Duke here over Iona.
Iona is just north of New York City, I believe.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it looks like it's in New Rochelle, so sort of the Hudson Valley, or maybe closer to Connecticut. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm going to go with Duke. Have you ever been to Cookout, Ty?
No, I have not.
Oh, Cookout is so good. I've been to a Cookout. The one Cookout I've been to, maybe I've been to two, but one of them was in Durham. And I was super hungry. And I think this was after I went to a Duke, North Carolina game that I was covering for SI way back when. This would have been 2008, 9, somewhere in there. And I went to Cookout starving. And a friend told me they have like 1,000 different kinds of milkshakes. And I said, that's not possible. And I got there and they had like 1,000 different kinds of milkshakes. And I was starving and I wanted a milkshake. And everything, I guess, comes with Hush Puppies, which I still claim totally not worth anybody's time anywhere. Hush Puppies. Sorry. But I ordered like a burger and chicken tenders and fry. Like I ordered a lot of food, Ty, and like a black chocolate cherry milkshake. And it was like $3.79. It was so inexpensive and it was so good. So I still have very fond things and thoughts about Cookout, even though I haven't been in like 10 years. So I'm going with Duke here for Cookout being the most likable thing related to Duke basketball.
All right, I'm going Kansas over NC State. Now, you didn't pick Kansas. You had Penn.
That's true.
So, and you had Seton Hall. So does this mean you're going to go Seton Hall here, or are you going to go Penn through the Sweet 16?
My dad went to what was then the New Jersey School of Medicine, and I think it became the Seton Hall School of Medicine. So I do have that personal connection. I'm going with Seton Hall.
All right, I got Kansas going through. I've got Clemson over Auburn, Dan. Another rematch from an early season matchup in college football from this past season.
And what is it? Clemson is Auburn with the lake. Isn't that what?
Something like that. Yeah.
Whoops. I'm going to go with Clemson as well.
We've got Michigan State against either ASU or Syracuse. I'm going to go Tom Izzo here.
Who did I take in that game?
You had
ASU, I had TCU. So I'm going to go TCU over Bucknell here.
And then I've got Duke over Oklahoma.
I have Duke over Rhode Island.
I've got Duke and Clemson in my Elite Eight.
I will go. So I have TCU over Bucknell. So I'm going to go. So TCU, Duke. I'm going to go Duke there.
And then I've got Duke in my Final Four.
So I will have, let's see, I have Seton Hall, Clemson. I'm going to go Clemson. I'm going to go Duke over Clemson. I'll have Duke in my Final Four. It hurts, but I'm going with that.
All right, so here we go. My Final Four, I've got UVA against Michigan. I'm going to go Michigan here. Give me the Wolverines.
Okay.
And on the other side, I've got two number twos. I've got Purdue and Duke. And I'm going to go Duke, and eventually I've got Duke over Michigan in the national championship. 83-78 is my final.
So I have Arizona, Houston, Duke, Purdue.
Okay.
I'm going to go Duke over Purdue. I'm going to do Arizona over Houston. Mom went to Arizona.
Yeah.
So Duke, Arizona, which, by the way, sounds like a wonderful porn star's name.
Yep.
I'm going to go DeAndre Ayton and the Arizona Wildcats.
Wow. Say hello to the bad guy.
Absolutely.
All right.
I've eaten well in Tucson. My mom is a Wildcat. DeAndre Ayton might be the best player in this tournament. And I say might be because he is one of 11 players I've seen in this tournament. So he might be. And I feel confident. How about that?
Don't forget to get in on the Solid Verbal Bracket pool. We've got links posted everywhere. Thank you for hanging with us as we picked our games here. Let me ask a question before we address a few other ones. We've got time for just a few short ones, but
let's do it.
Have you ever done anything extra special for like the first round of the NCAA tournament?
Generally, it's either been watching at work, taking the day off. I remember in college, I didn't go to classes, or I actually went to the tournament itself. So generally, it's focus, it's good eating, it's hanging out with friends.
It's always been a de facto holiday for me.
Sure.
And I mentioned the super secret basketball pool that I run. I started this pool back in 1998 in a math class in sixth period. I'll never forget it. And some friends and I had the idea to start this up, and it was going to be like $5 an entry, right? Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to do that in school. And my math teacher at the time caught me collecting money, called me up to the front of the class and wanted to speak to me.
Can you please tell me that your teacher wanted in on this pool?
My teacher wanted in on the pool.
It's wonderful.
My teacher calls me to the front of the class. I thought I had been busted. Mm-hmm. And he sort of talks in a hush tone saying, how much is it per entry?
What are we talking, 50, hundo?
He flipped me a 10. He had 2 entries in. And then on top of it, because he knew that so many in the class had entries in this basketball pool, he wheeled in. Remember those old tube TVs that we had, thing is on like the back of a truck. He wheeled it in.
I'm Mr. CRT, Ty.
Yeah, he wheeled it in. He plugged it in. He started it up, tuned it into CBS, and said, just humor me every now and again and look up. Act like you're paying attention, but I don't care if you watch the games. That was the first year of this basketball pool that I run. So I've been running it ever since. The only other opening day of March Madness story that I can tell, aside of that and actually going to the games back in 2006, which I've done a bunch of times, by the way, down in Philly. I did do the thing once where I went out to Vegas. for the
How
first
was
round of the NCAA tournament. It was an interesting experience.
It's got to be overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. My friends and I weren't rich enough at the time to stay at Caesars, where they have all the TVs. And obviously, there are a bunch of places that do, but Caesars was the closest to us, and we couldn't afford to stay there. So we stayed elsewhere, and we pulled the move where I don't know if it's still configured like this, but we played Keno all day.
Oh,
because
God.
the Keno room was adjacent to where they have the 4 big TVs in Caesars Sportsbook. And so we would play Keno all day, win every now and again, but as long as you're playing, you have a seat.
Mm-hmm.
We sat in the Keno room and watched college basketball many, many moons ago. Yeah.
All right.
Those are my
I don't
stories.
have stories beyond that. Yeah, let's see. I've run pools in the past, both school and work. The only pool I'm going to be in this year is the Solid Verbal pool. So you're getting the best of my picks.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the worst of my picks on this show, but I feel like I'm going to do better than somebody with the where I'd rather eat pool. So that's where my mind
people
is
are going
at.
to hate this show.
What are you going to eat for the first day?
Good question. Good question.
We did Philly cheesesteaks at work a couple of years ago, and that was nice.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I don't know. To be
I
determined.
got pizza nearby.
I'll tweet
I got
it
all
out.
sorts of options.
I'll tweet it out. Let's do a couple questions here before we go.
Our pal Peter, rank sporting events by background noise / ability to have on at all times and get into it no matter when.
Ooh.
So to me, this is every sport but college football and like the NBA finals. They're the only really sports. And I guess the World Series, if I have, like, I was paying close attention this past year with the Dodgers. But in terms of non-championship level sports, I love casually ignoring baseball games. I love casually, looking at my laptop and, having the Olympics on in the background or the World Cup or Saturday morning EPL, I think is fantastic because you hear through the announcers, especially the British announcers, rising tone.
They emote. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are good signals with Saturday morning EPL. Make some coffee, have some breakfast. You're on your computer catching up on whatever on the couch. So EPL is up there for me, but the tournament is really good because the games are quick enough that there's always sort of action every few minutes. Like, oh, let's go to Greensboro. Oh, let's go to Spokane. Oh, let's go to Anaheim. Oh, let's go to Austin, whatever.
Right.
Where you don't have to be constantly there, but you through like the tones of broadcasters, you get good clues. So that to me is I think the tournament's up there. The Masters is great.
The Masters is up there. Baseball, I think, is the obvious answer.
Baseball is my number one nap sport. Baseball over golf for napping.
Baseball is a good answer here. What I would say, though, if you want to be international about it, Dan, and you mentioned the Olympics, like if we lived in Norway, where obviously sports like cross-country skiing and some other winter sports are a little bit more prominent, did you hear any of the commentary for the cross-country skiing events at the Olympics?
Were they all in?
It's very intense.
I love that.
Very intense. If the guy that NBC hired to commentate it can get that into it, my hunch is that whoever Norway has calling it is pretty damn into it too.
True.
So my international answer would be cross-country skiing.
Good internet. Are you more of a golf or a baseball napper?
Probably baseball.
Baseball is almost a podcast.
Yeah.
Baseball commentary, because it's just like, fun fact about Brett Johnson, in high school was in the drama club, and it says here was in a performance of Chicago.
He was the
Hello
fiddler
Dolly.
on the roof. How about
Right.
that?
It's just like this. It's story time. It makes for such a good natural nap. And I grew up with Vin Scully, and so you're talking top of the top nap narrators.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday afternoon baseball nap to me is just unmatched, unrivaled.
All right. Where are we going next?
Let's go to Kelly. This question comes to us from Kelly Hitchcock on Reddit, who is from Kansas City, is a Kansas State fan who lives in Austin, had a couple questions about, are we doing anything for South by this year? We've done it in the past. Are you doing anything this year? Ty, I can tell you we're not.
Nope.
Because you're in Pennsylvania. I am in Brooklyn as we are recording this, and South by is happening and happened some last week. South by Southwest it's a fun place to see people you like and haven't seen in a long time. And there are a few interesting talks and roundtables and panels and stuff like that. But if you like Austin, which I imagine if Kelly's living there, South by is not a good time to go to Austin.
No,
it makes you
isn't.
appreciate the rest of the weeks of the year in Austin. So we're not doing anything there this year, but good people, fun times when we've done it. And what is it you like about where you live now? Because you don't have to deal with something you didn't enjoy from, quote, back home. Tough question for you.
Tough question for me.
You live in the general vicinity.
Yeah. I can answer this. I can answer this
But
question.
I'm sure the area has changed some too.
The area has changed a lot,
Yeah.
actually. The area is a lot more built up now than it was when I was living, quote unquote, back home. So there's a lot more to do now than there was when I was in high school. The obvious answer for me is Wegmans right now. I mean, let's be real about this.
Premium supermarkets.
I can walk to Wegmans in a matter of minutes from my front door.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, I couldn't do that back.
I think
Living
there's a
with my
Wegmans
age.
opening in Brooklyn at some point.
Oh, Dan, do it. Get on that.
Well, they're putting it in, I think, the Navy Yard, which is sort of a no man's land in terms of public transportation, which is fine. You can still get there. You have to rent a car or whatever, long walk from the train. I'm very excited to go.
Yes.
My answer is not driving / not parking. Coming from LA and sitting in traffic and even getting somewhere and then having to spend another 10 or 15 minutes looking for a spot because, Ty, I do not make enough money, especially now, to live that valet life. I just don't. So I like public transportation a whole lot. It gets you places efficiently for the most part. I know the MTA is pretty bad, but for the most part, it's pretty efficient. I hated parking. I hated everything like that. So I drove a little bit last week. I went and saw a friend in a different state and rented a car. And even that, it was fine. And I do very annoying things. And when I'm alone in a car, have I done this with you? Have I done the FM game with you?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we've played that game before.
Yeah. That's some people you appreciate that.
I do. Yeah.
Jody with an I does not like that.
I can understand where she's coming from. That's a very dorky sports media thing there.
Yes, so that's introducing songs as they come on the radio as if you were an FM DJ, not unlike my Sirius XM game previews during the August time. So that's our answer.
All right, and the final question here,
Meg, come on.
Megan says, "How do I get a boyfriend?" That is a loaded question, Meg.
Okay,
I'm assuming we can call her Meg, and that's not being disrespectful.
No, I don't know. She either went to Auburn, is an Auburn fan, whatever. And somebody else asked how to find somebody to date.
Wow.
If you're antisocial. So we can sort of encapsulate
this is a very broad question though, Meg. Like, bring me a rock. You know, we can only do so much with a question like this. But
is there a location on her Twitter account? I don't think that changes my answer necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't see. You were the one that put the doc together.
Plains, and she's a mod at Reddit CFB, the college football subreddit, which is fantastic.
Right. Okay. So I think first and foremost,
I'm seeing Kansas City. So it seems like she's either in Auburn or from Kansas City or went to Auburn, whatever. So not too different.
I think the first thing that I would posit here is don't worry about asking the question about how to get a boyfriend. Don't psych yourself out about that.
Okay.
Don't think too much about that and just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just by being yourself, eventually you'll attract that other positive energy. See what I'm going with that?
Let's get more specific, Ty.
Okay. So beyond that, beyond just sort of a broad mentality, I think we've discussed this before on the podcast. You want to go to places where people aren't necessarily looking for dates. Like everyone talks about, let's go out to the bar and meet people, but maybe go to the supermarket and just hang around. Like don't lurk in a creepy way.
Oh my God, Ty. Go to the supermarket and do you have a particular aisle or section?
I'm spitballing here, okay?
Oh my God, no, keep going, keep spitballing. Go down that path, Ty, commit
Go somewhere where there's not that eminent pressure on everyone to, try and find a date. Go somewhere where you can be yourself. You're in your natural habitat. You can be yourself. And if you meet someone, the pressure won't be there.
Okay.
Maybe that's a supermarket for you. Aisle G. I don't know.
lot of different paths here. Obviously, online is not as daunting for men as it is for women, straight men, straight women. So, I mean, she's a woman looking for a boyfriend, and from what I can understand, Ty, it's a minefield for women.
Yeah.
It's, dudes are not great as a species.
Nope.
Online. So that's tough, but obviously there are a lot of success stories, myself included. So I'm going to go. So, friend of the show, I'm not going to name him because this is his life, but a friend of the show who's been on the show met his significant other going to, and this might be very specific to big cities, but he met his significant other going to improv classes.
Okay.
And I think that's a really good, and that's another good answer for the person who asked about finding somebody if you're a little bit antisocial. People go to improv classes, and I'm dying to go, take an improv class. Maybe now's the time.
I think our podcast is an improv class, isn't it?
That's true. A very, very bad improv class, but an improv class nonetheless. But it's really good for people who want to get better at speaking to others, be it professionally or personally or performing or sort of engaging in a better way. So something like improv or acting classes, I know rec league sports are big out here and in a bunch of cities because they're co-ed and everybody's roughly the same age and professional and in a city. And it's just a good way to meet people. So even if you don't meet a significant other, a lot of times people go out for beers or whatever for food after the game. And then like, oh, you should meet my friend Tim, or you should meet my friend Babs. Are people named Babs? Probably not.
Sure. Yep.
But I think that the rec league sport, and you get some exercise. You work off a couple lbs, you burn some cals. That's a fun way. The endorphins are up, so you're perhaps more of yourself. So I would recommend rec sports. I would recommend an improv class. Online is good, but you got to wade through some mud. I couldn't tell you about a supermarket strategy.
I still think the supermarket strategy could be a potential game changer here.
Okay. I think it's also important it's not a matter of not having shame. It's a matter of just going for it sometimes people are ashamed to ask their friends if they know anybody, to they want to wait for a friend to be like, hey, do you want to be set up with my friend's cousin Brad? I think sometimes you have to put yourself out there in terms of, if you know anybody, I'd love to have a drink or a coffee with somebody. I think putting yourself out there in the letting people know you're open to being set up and just meeting people.
No, I think
that's the move.
I still think supermarket, but
tell me what you would do. Let's say Solid Wife Kate comes to her senses and marries a much more successful podcaster. I don't know who that is.
Right.
Let's, Ira Glass.
Sure.
Ezra Klein, whatever.
Yep.
And you are left to your own devices romantically.
Okay.
And you say, you know what? I said it publicly that a supermarket is an option.
I love Wegmans, Dan. It's my natural habitat.
So what are you doing at Wegmans? Just putting out vibes?
I mean, maybe you have to work there to
you get a job at Wegmans?
Do you get a job at the supermarket just so that you can interact with people?
Is it a Wegmans with a beer garden? Because those exist, right?
They do exist, yeah.
Okay, so would you try to get a bartending job?
I guess Wegmans? I got to work at Wegmans Pub.
Okay. I don't think that's the worst idea.
And sort of play that angle. Okay. But then that sort of is counter to everything I said about not meeting people in the bar. So I'm kind of talking myself in circles here.
That's not a traditional bar.
This is true.
It's not a traditional bar. But if you are short of working for Wegmans, Ty,
this is going to set relationships back about 20 years right here.
Now you're good. Because I set this up, I think, successfully in saying that Kate has done better. It is her choice. This is not you leaving Kate.
Right.
It is her choice. And I want to put the record out there right now. Ty is deeply, deeply in love with Kate.
This is correct, yeah.
As for everything I know, deeply, deeply in love.
Yes.
Plans on no other option than a lifetime together.
Absolutely.
But in this hypothetical second world, where she finds a more successful podcaster, more charming.
Earth 2.
Better production value. The whole, really heartbreaking.
Right.
You're at Wegmans and you're saying, I'm comfortable here. And it's sort of nice that I could be dating somebody who also shops and has the same grocery taste as myself.
Right.
Are you just strolling? Are you sitting by a bakery, by the prepared foods?
I haven't fully thought this strategy through, Dan. In case you have not gathered, I have not thought this the full way through.
Eventually, you're going to have to start going on a Wegmans tour.
Right.
Because word is going to get out that
it's going to get out
on women at Wegmans.
People are going to think I'm one of those in-store cops that just lurks around with the earbuds.
Right. Yeah, I would probably, you have to give yourself no more than like 10 or 15 minutes in the store. And I would probably have to be mobile and comment in a positive way on something that a woman in Wegmans is ordering or buying, or like, ooh, great call on those pita chips. Those are my favorite. You ever try those with hummus?
Yeah.
What's your favorite? Like you have to keep it positive, and it has to be related to a purchase or a food decision.
I think that's the move. Yeah.
And you have to be willing to bail quickly, because if somebody is not super keen on being hit on in a grocery store,
gotta go. You gotta
go.
You gotta move on to the dairy section. Yeah.
You have to be like a special teams gunner. You gotta try your best on that one play, and then you're just back to the sideline.
I need to workshop this strategy a little bit more. Full disclosure.
I don't think you're fully wrong, but I don't think it can be habitual.
Probably not. No. Okay.
I don't think it can be habitual.
Whoo! Well, we covered some ground in this show, man.
I'm glad we did. Ty.
You've got Arizona winning. I've got Duke winning. Don't forget to get on into our bracket pool, which you can find out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Going to post it on Reddit. Going to post it on our website. We'll post it along in the description of this show. If you're listening, we are publishing this on Tuesday evening. Give everybody a chance to, if you want to take our advice on picks, God help you. But
there's playing games probably happening by the time
we get this published.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Daniel, we've got another show coming out in a couple days. It's going to be the next installment of our scheme theme show. We've got Coach Joe Moorhead. We've already spoiled a bit of the fun, but people were starting to guess who it was, so we had to come clean on Twitter.
It's so good. It's so nerdy, but not in an inaccessible way. He was real good.
Joe Moorhead coming your way on Thursday. We're going to post that on Thursday evening. In the meantime, Dan, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Ty, I am going to spend the rest of my night plotting out our new podcast, If I Were Single.
Okay. Oh, God. Heaven help me.
Yep.
For that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, thanks again for tuning in. Catch you all in a few days. Stay solid.
Peace.